Regarded as my personal task this morning to blow your mind. And we will be having a medical examination later to see whether I have in fact done that to you. Don't want to look in there? Well, I don't know. Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you all here. And thank you very much for coming here rather than going into Regent's Park. It's such a lovely day. It must have seemed rather an attractive possibility. This is the final event in the Hub's Joining the Dots programme, which I'm delighted to say Arts Council was able to fund with a £118,000 grant to help develop the future of independent music sector. Those funds have enabled the Hub to focus on new business models for live music, to see how we can use technology to increase revenues and to explore ways we can develop audiences. It says here. That's a slightly slightly straightforward way of describing the day. And of course it is about indie music, money and tech. But listening to Ben and Leonie talk about breaking free from the cage, can we just remind ourselves that although it's very important to have a good, strong musical economy, that it's not the main reason we put public funds into music? What's the main reason we put public funds into music, or why we're in music? Because of what it means to us. Because of its effect on us. Because it's inspiring. Because it's delightful. Because it appeals like no other art form to our heads and our hearts at the same time. It is indeed a mysterious drug. And that's the main reason we put public money in, and it's the main reason we're all involved, excuse me, I'm getting emotional, in the indie music sector. I have an earworm every day. Do you have an earworm every day? It's what music means to you. I'm not going to tell you what my earworm is today till the end of the speech, and it may have changed during the speech. But on Sunday morning when I went to buy my coffee, from a young man who was clearly about 40 years younger than me, I was unconsciously whistling my earworm of the day, which happened to be a song called New Slang by the Shins. Anyone know that song? It's a beautiful, beautiful song. And so it goes on. Sorry about that, it was a slightly nervous whistle, but I don't normally perform in public. But the point was, I was unconsciously whistling that, and the guy serving me my coffee said, "New Slang by the Shins. I was listening to it this morning." And of course, two people 40 years apart, we had a conversation about why we liked it, what it represented to us. Somehow I don't see myself or any of us wandering in to buy coffee, murmuring under our breath, I wandered lonely as a cloud. Because you don't say poetry like you whistle music. Music is unique in that way, and incredibly important. Now, one of the important things that the Arts Council funds, apart from the Joining the Dots programme, is the Momentum Music Fund, which you're all familiar with. And as you know, it was more than £500,000 that went in from the Arts Council, and it managed to fund 68 artists, though it was oversubscribed. And I just thought, for the hell of it, we'd listen to 3 pieces of music I picked out from those 68 artists that we funded. Because we're here not just to talk, but I think we're here to listen and enjoy music. So, Aidan, could we please hear Ghost Poet? Time, but actually sexiest voice this year, I think. And can we hear a little bit? I forgot how long the intro was, forgive me. Lapsley. Effect of that water sort of dropping as she sings. Isn't that beautiful? And the last one, hang on, let me see, was Cosmo Sheldrake. Crazy name, crazy guy.
Legend has it that the moss grows on the north side of the trees. Well, legend has it when the rains come down, all the worms come up to breathe.
I just recommend much later in that track, which I haven't got time to play, which goes into a fantastic piece of 4-part harmony, which is just so enjoyable. Anyway, that's our enjoyment. That's some of the music that we've been funding. And as I say, the main reason we fund it, the main reason your tax dollars and the money from your lottery tickets goes into it, is because it means so much to us, as well as how economically important it is. But I suppose I should get back to the economics now, and it is, to some extent, the subject of the conference. So back to Join the Dots. The money has funded hack weekends and online discussions with a massive supporting content. How many of you have watched the Bring and Bite video? Oh, that's not good. Right, well, your homework before the end of the day is to access the Bring and Bite video, which you've placed online, of the Hebden Bridge Bring and Bite session. And I recommend a particular interview with someone who was talking in a garden about all the exciting things that happened. And there's a thrush singing in the background. Did you notice that? Singing the most beautiful, singing its heart out, as though it understood what the subject of the video was. Listen out for the thrush. It's the best bit. The rest of it's great, Julia. But the thrush is wonderful. And Julia, you mentioned earlier the new ideas, Eventbox, Dual and Off-Axis, which I think are really exciting developments. These are ideas that can really contribute to getting people together, particularly the third one. So most importantly, the Hub's been able to use our funding, your funding indeed, and the additional funds it raised from the Esmee Fairbairn Foundation, thanks to them too, to promote new thinking and awareness around music and technology. Let's just say a quick word about digital distribution and live, because digital distribution gives us the chance, we all know, although it may have destroyed many of the traditional models of the music industry, to distribute wonderful stuff to more people in more places than we could ever have imagined. But I believe that it's made live more important. Now, we all know festivals are getting more and more popular, but there's a fundamental principle there, and that is in the age of digital, when everything is infinitely replicable, live becomes more important than it ever was before, because live is unique. Every live performance, as we've just heard this morning, every live performance is its own unique performance and cannot be replicated, except, it can be replicated digitally, but another live performance will be different to a different audience, creating a different atmosphere. So, live before digital would be one of my phrases, and intrinsic value of art and the joy and power of music before the economic. But art and culture does make a real difference to our national economy too. It's a driver and energizes many other areas. I spent 30 years as a television presenter. I commissioned music virtually every week of my life for those 30 years. And that music I used to regard sometimes as the most important part of the program I was making. And even when it wasn't the most important part, it was certainly the flavor enhancer. It was the monosodium glutamate of the production, and all the more valuable because of it. And it underlines how the music industry is not just of itself, but connects to the other parts of the creative industry. I've just talked about how it connects to film and TV. You'll be able to tell me about many other links. It's more and more important these days that we consider how each part of the creative industries links to other parts of the creative industries. All the arts incubate and develop talent that pays back down the line in terms of critical commercial success. And talent development is a crucial priority for the Arts Council. We've done lots of spillover research. Our early spillover research is actually in the theatrical world, but I think we need to move on to the music world to show how talent, young talent that grows up, spills over. In the theatre world, you get young directors trained in the publicly supported theatre who go on to make great TV and great movies, who contribute both to the culture and the creative economy. And let's not forget at home and abroad, according to research by UK Music, if you just take the music sector, it makes a contribution of 3.8 billion GVA to our economy. Anybody know what GVA is? It's a phrase of the dismal economists. Gross value added. It's more value than gross, actually. It's very important. The Arts Council, then, because of that funding and because of the reason for that funding, we say is here for everyone. And we like to think we do support every kind of music. Not only the world's leading orchestras and opera houses, we support festivals, jazz, brass bands, rock, pop, and drum and bass. You name it, we've probably had a hand in it. Look at the work of the music platforms we support. British Underground, for example, which helps provide a showcase for some of the most exciting music acts. You're smiling. Are you part of it? No, it's nice when somebody's smiling. I'm not complaining. I thought you were connected to British Underground. You're not. Maybe you will be one day. Above all, we have a responsibility to make sure that talent has a chance to break through wherever it emerges. music talent is a particular cause and responsibility. Now, as I think many of you know, the Arts Council, with money from the Department of Education, funds 123 music education hubs. I keep on dropping badges here. I don't know why I do. Perhaps I'll just put them in my pocket. Those music education hubs were originally a strategy written by a man called Darren Henley. And I'm pleased to say in the last couple of months, Darren Henley has become the new Chief Executive of the Arts Council. He used to work, as some of you know, at Classic FM. So I'm really pleased that the architect of that music education hubs is now the Chief Executive of the Arts Council. He wrote the policy actually for the last Labour government, for a minister called Andrew Adonis, but then there was a change of government to the coalition, and it was under the coalition government he persuaded them to find the funding, and he was greatly assisted in that by the man we'll hear on our panel later, Ed Vasey, who went with him to the Department of Education to get the money. So at its best, with music education hubs, we'll see a progression of energy and talent nurtured at the school level and feed through to the next level. The next level, after people have left school, of course, is where our Grants for the Arts programs comes in, which is lottery funded, and we are able to give support to thousands of artists and arts organisations, and the hub is an example. But Grants for the Arts is not always right for everyone, and an increasingly important part of our work is helping to develop new business models for cultural entrepreneurs. One example is creative industry finance. Now, has anybody heard of that? Well, look it up anyway, because it's quite interesting. It's a program funded by the Arts Council, and it's designed to assist creative and cultural enterprises to secure finance and investment. The program offers tailored advice and supports businesses through early processes and helps them apply to some of the lending partners for business development loans. During its 2-year pilot program, it supported more than 400 creative enterprises. We've also just launched something called the Arts Impact Fund, which is a £7 million fund, which is a mixture of commercial money, public money, and charitable money, which is designed to push forward the frontiers of social enterprise investment, where you may not always get a grant, you may take on a loan or take equity in the future, and the sort of people lending that money may be people who want their principal, their basic money back, but they see the interest on that money as the delivery of public good that you will do with the work you do. So I think social enterprise investment models are very much a thing of the future. May I say I think they're a complement to public funding. I don't think they should replace it, and I think that's a message we have to give out very clearly. I won't go into the details of that fund, but I just wanted to mention, when I'm talking about talent, how we invest in people as well. We all know that the creative industries in general, and music in particular, is a very casualised industry. We know how difficult it is to get on and get opportunities. And we know how very often unpaid internships lead to less access and less social mobility and opportunities for people who are supported by the bank of mum and dad. So I'm very pleased to mention our creative employment programme, where we put £15 million to support the creation of traineeships and apprenticeships and paid internship opportunities for young people aged 16 to 24. We're right in the middle of the programme at the moment. More than 85% of the organisations in the creative sector are small businesses, let's remember, employing fewer than 5 people. So we hope our help can make a considerable difference both to the companies and to the young people who want to get on. We've even, I believe, helped place an apprentice with a one-man music publisher working out of his living room, and those are circumstances that will probably strike a chord with several of you. That's a question of real access, real opportunity, whatever your background. And we do say that public money put into the arts must not only be for everybody, but must draw on all the talents. And I don't think we've been good enough at that up to now. I mentioned Momentum just now. It's not the only fund out there. It works alongside other funds, such as the Music Export Growth Scheme and AIM's Startup Loan for indie companies. But again, it's not just economic. Many in the music industry in this country make an immense contribution to the lives of young people, and there's a wonderful example just down the road from here at the Roundhouse that I want to mention because I went to the opening of their new building, which they've built out of, very cheaply and brilliantly, they've built a whole new office building out of containers. They've just loaded containers one on top of the other and created a brilliant new office building. But I'm talking about the Roundhouse, run by Marcus Davey. 3,000 young people a year, teenagers from disadvantaged backgrounds, go through the Roundhouse and are inspired via music and given a new direction in life and new opportunities, not to mention their outreach campaigns. Lastly, before I end, and I think then we'll be ready for the panel, I want to touch on your Vote for Music campaign. Now, I would say that I think the government has been listening to what we've been saying about the importance of the arts, and I think that is indicated in the increased funding for music hubs that we've had this year, up to 75 million, and in the tax breaks that have been awarded first to theatre and now to orchestras, which are going to make a real difference to the funding of some elements of the arts. There are some important points raised, though, by the Vote for Music campaign, including, as I acknowledge, the agent for change principle. And without saying yay or nay, and we might be debating it in a minute, the future of economic growth and cultural growth is going to be in our cities, in our great cities. And young people want to live in our cities, they want them to be great places to live in, and they want to work there, but also enjoy their time there. And so I completely understand that anything that threatens the social and cultural life of those cities will actually also threaten the economy of those cities. So it is critical that we find a balance between the housing, the new housing that we so desperately need, and that will very often be built within cities, and between the music venues that will have been there beforehand. So I completely understand and get the issue. I just want to end by returning to the fact that my earworm today, I can reveal, can you hear it? Yes, you're right, it's Dusty Springfield. I close my eyes and count to 10. And that's my earworm today, and I want to thank you for my earworm. I want to thank you for everything you do. I want to thank you for your ideas and for the talent that you're developing. And there's one thing you can be very grateful for. After that brilliant opening session, I won't sing Dusty Springfield. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks.